Eosmon, but with a twist. Taste of Victory, link in the description below, did a video with Agumon Bond of Friendship as a secondary. But what if Agumon Bond of Bravery was the secondary instead? In today's video, I go over a relatively cheap and simple build, using a majority of cards from BT6 and only a handful of expensive cards from other sets. Expensive being your promo Agumons and Gaia Force. As always, I'll go over the strengths and weaknesses of this deck. There are a lot of fun interactions that if you do end up playing that you might find others. I threw this together last night and had pretty equal results against Eos-Agubond and Lilithlube. Let's begin. This deck runs 5 level 2s, 16 level 3s, 6 level 4s, 8 level 5s, 2 level 6s, 4 level 7s, 5 option cards, and 9 Tamers. For level 2s, I run 4 Sakuttomon and 1 DemiMeramon, and while I did have DemiMeramon being my primary baby, after hitting Sakuttomon with Agumon Bond, I love it. It literally gives you that +1 memory that can save you from that Hammer Spark insecurity, especially if Agumon was pushed up the same turn. Additionally, Sakuttomon helps push my memory up to 2 for not only the Hammer Spark block, but also enables Agunimon to go into Tai. Though I probably won't implement this into my Agumon Bond of Bravery deck profile, considering Greymon does some security smashing himself. For level 3s, I run 4 BT1-Agumon, 3 Agumon Expert, 4 Agumon from BT6, 3 P-001 Agumon, and 2 starter deck Agumon. For this lineup, I tossed in as many Agumons as I could to play efficiently off of for Agumon Bond of Bravery, or Nokia Shiramine. With Agumon Expert, he is present to pull back any Agumon from your trash back to your hand, including Agumon Bond of Bravery. BT1-Agumon helps with searching for your Tamers. There's no color restriction. BT6-Agumon is standard, giving you a +1 security check for your Agumon Bond of Bravery. P-001 is a 5-cost Digimon that on play lets you delete a Digimon with 3000 DP or less. Against Agumon Bond of Friendship decks, you eliminate threats like their Agumon to prevent them from going into it. Because if they check your security and hit Nokia, that Agumon is dead. And lastly, starter deck Agumon for a generic +1000 DP buff. Of course, this will be replaced with starter deck 7 Agumon for that +2000 DP buff instead, making it infinitely safer for Bond of Bravery from 15,000 DP bodies. Moving to level 4s, this deck runs 2 Agunimon and 4 Eosmon. Agunimon is a finisher for the deck in conjunction with Tai Kamiya. And while I don't search for Agunimon with anything, it's also not something that can decisively win me the game. As for Eosmon, I do recommend being careful with this as you can turn on your opponent's opposing Agumon Bond of Friendships or Agumon Bond of Bravery with the on-play effect. However, Digivolving this Eosmon into a level 5 Eosmon can provide you ways to swing and put down additional white Tamers, whether it be Menoa or Nokia. For level 5s, this deck runs 8 total, and for that reason it gives you a healthy number of bodies to just hardcast and pass to your opponent's turn. In conjunction with Menoa, and a pushed up Agumon from Raise with Tai out, you have an effective way to put your opponent to 1 memory next turn. For level 6s, I run 2 copies of the level 6 Eosmon, again with Agumon pushed up from the Raise and Menoa out. If I don't have Bond, I do have Eosmon to delete threats on the board. If I have multiple Eosmon in trash, I can raise this Digimon to a +2 check for next turn as well. But in more instances, I tend to go into Agumon Bond of Bravery first. Delete a Digimon on my opponent's field, trash their top security, then security check. Then, Eosmon to delete another Digimon on their field. And that leads to Agumon Bond of Bravery himself, the only level 7 in this deck at 4 copies. For an Agumon Bond of Bravery deck, you need him. Otherwise, you're pretty much just a Rookie Rush variant. As for other option cards, because I have red eggs and red Tamers, there is no issue playing red option cards in this deck. My original test build ran Trident Revolver to delete 6k bodies and play a Tamer. But I quickly found that my hand was exhausted and didn't have quick ways to replenish other than Heir of Dragons. But without any Greymons, it's purely Pot of Greed. So with changes, I went with 2 A Delicate Plan and 3 Gaia Force. A Delicate Plan is a beast, preventing any opponent's option cards from triggering. Against my test builds of Lilith Loop and Agumon Bond of Friendship, option cards were rendered useless. As for Gaia Force, this card is very effective against all decks, except Black Royal Knights, where Craniamon can be a hindrance for this deck. Now for Tamers. I run the standard 4 Tai Kamiya from BT6 to get the Agumon Bond of Bravery engine going. With Nokia, it's free play on my Agumons, especially Promo Agumon to delete my opponent's memory blocking Digimon. And finally, Menoa Bellucci, my stable memory tamer. While I was skeptical after watching Taste of Victory's Agumon Bond of Victory video with Eosmon, the challenge of Eosmon with Bond of Bravery is very interesting, and somewhat viable of a combination. The major strengths come from having the capability to build wide boards in conjunction with Nokia and Eosmon, or smashing face into the security with Agumon Bond of Bravery. With 2 of the most powerful red option cards in the card game, this also makes the red aspect frightening, even if it might cost a little bit of memory. As for weaknesses, I haven't built a Royal Knight deck yet, but I do anticipate that any blocker heavy deck would make this deck difficult to use, especially if Craniamon is out. There's no effective way to attack with 1 level 5 Eosmon and build wider, since that Eosmon will just get deleted. Although I guess you could bait your opponent to block with Craniamon, then Agumon Bond of Bravery to swing over it and delete another Digimon after. Security Control and 3 Musketeers would also be frightening decks, as Jawalt Schwarmer and Iron Fisted Onslaught would wipe your board. Again, a Delicate Plan is in this deck for a reason. But one major weakness with the red variant is the lack of draw power. Agumon has many ways to draw you cards, and because of this is able to dig more into their deck for resources. So be very careful of your available resources as you play this deck. As for primary combos that I've seen, I've already briefly mentioned that Agumon Bond of Bravery swinging with Sakuttomon can bump you up a memory for the Agunimon play, or even protect you from Hammer Sparks. Level 4 Eosmon can help you play your Menoa or Nokia, which Nokia herself can play any one of your Agumons except Agumon Expert, and fulfill their on-play effects, whether it be Tamer searching or popping a 3k body on the board. Evoing off level 4 Eosmon not only nets you a card in your hand, but can also swing to put another Menoa Bellucci out first before you play a second Eosmon. At which, if you have multiple Menoa Bellucci on field, you can suspend each one to reveal 3 cards off the top for a Tamer, or 1 Digimon with Eosmon in its name. And these are effective ways to also pull Tai Kamiya from the deck, since there's no color restriction when doing this. Eos-Agubond Bond of Bravery is a really fun and cheap deck for the BT6 format, that again, while skeptical, works. And though you may feel like your hand is bricked, it really unbricks over time. As for future changes, I'm only swapping the starter deck Agumons for the starter deck 7 Agumons. This is Digi-Panda. Logging out.